Hello everyone, Sejr here. Thank you so much for joining me for my Spellbinders August 2022 card kit. These are the 10 cards that I created using this kit. And let's just get right into it with card number 1. In this card kit, there's actually some actual big ephemera in the package. And this is one of them. It's a big sentiment, and it says, "You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and loved more than you know." And that's just, it's such a perfect sentiment that really is meant for everyone. I we definitely downplay ourselves so well. We're very good at upplaying other people, but when it comes to ourselves, we doubt it and we think we're never as good. So this sentiment actually covers every single part of that, and I love it. And I decided to put it on some dandelions. It kind of there's something magical about dandelions on their own when they're in seed, and when they blow and they just carry their cells throughout. And so it's kind of like having this beautiful sentiment, and you kind of just want to send it out to everyone. So that's kind of why I like having it on that dandelion page. Plus, the dandelions are gold, so they're absolutely beautiful. So it's a very, very simple card. Number 1 was. I just wanted to play with that sentiment. I really, really liked it. For card number 2, I decided to use this newspaper background. When I picked up this newspaper background, immediately I thought about ripped paper. I don't know why. I don't think I was a kid who ripped newspapers on my parents, but who knows? I don't know what happened in my past. But I like that the straight paper that I've picked, so that's what I decided to rip with. So it's kind of like, I've done this many times before. It's this neat way of transitioning between two pieces of paper, of pattern paper, sorry. And it kind of looks like the newspaper's underneath, and there's like a wrapper, like almost like ripping a present open. That's kind of how the technique is. When you're doing that, just remember that when you're tearing the paper, tear the pattern facing you and tear towards you. If you tear the opposite direction, you won't get that white fuzziness showing on the top. It will be on the back side. If you don't want to see that, then just do the opposite of what I just said. But I like seeing that worn, that ripped color. It's because it's a white piece of paper, then you'll see white. For the sentiment, I picked up that Daily News die cut, or ephemera, just to tie in with the background. And then underneath that, it's just filled with happiness. I like that sentiment on this ephemera because, to me, Daily News usually has a kind of a negative point to it. That's news is good at telling you kind of what's bad happening. That's how I feel, and so I like the Daily News that tells you only the good stuff and the fun stuff and the things that make your day happy. So the sentiment underneath that is the Daily News filled with happiness. So this is a nice newspaper. This is one that's not going to bring you down a little bit. And then to finish off this card, I noticed that there's a bunch of stars in this kit that match this striped pattern paper very well. And so I decided just to spread them out, normally, like I normally do, just 3 in a cluster and 2 on the other side. But I decided to prop up 3 of them in that triangle formation. I mentioned this, I think, in another video a while back, that I was reading up on techniques, and they say that triangles are very pleasing to the eye. So I wanted to try that out again, and so I have my odd number stars and then making a triangle out of popping up 3 of them. And of course, then to finish off, let's add some gold little hole punch circles that I sometimes do. This is mainly because I want to tie in, because the only gold on this card right now is the sentiment. I'm not sure if you can see that, the filled with happiness. So because that's the only thing, I just want to tie in a little bit more gold. And the dots usually signify kind of an emphasis or explosion of attention in a certain area. That's kind of how I use them anyways. Okay, card number 3. I love this paper. When I saw this paper, I immediately knew what I wanted to do. I just needed to search through the ephemera to make sure it actually matched my imagination, and it does. So I'm going to use this pattern paper as an explosion of excitement, of life, of love, of whatever you can think of. And I use the sentiment, the typewriter there, and I'm kind of imagining it that it's writing a story. I can't read what it says. It's way too small. But there's actually something there. Need to get a magnifying glass. But I'm imagining that it's writing something. You can use your imagination on what you think this is, but it's writing something very lovely. And I'm signifying that with these butterflies just popping and bursting out of this typewriter. I did lift up the one butterfly on the bottom right, and that's just to give the illusion that it's popping off the card. Like these are getting closer and closer to you and outwards. For the sentiment, I propped that up with some foam tape from the kit, and it says, "Everything happens for a reason." That's a very hard sentiment to believe in sometimes, especially when we were having a bad time, right? But it actually has a lot of truth to it. It's just sometimes it's a little bit harder to believe, and so I do like the sentiment, and that's why I kind of use it on this card, because there's so much happiness to the card already. I kind of was able to get away with it. It's not so depressing on this card. Everything happens for a reason has its dual meanings, right? It 100% depends on how you feel, and then you'll interpret it differently. But in this case, it's 100% happiness, as everything that I do, because that's what I love to do, is bring joy. Okay, card number 4. This one's fun. You'll notice that I put the banner upside down, and that was actually purposeful. I decided, I always, since the dawn of time, put up banners down. So I decided I was going to do the opposite, and to make it so that it wasn't so much of an eyesore in my brain, my logical brain, I'm going to just fill it up with some ephemera and chipboard stickers like this owl. I did notice in this kit, I'm not sure if anyone else had this problem, but the chipboards, they were very hard to get off the plastic. They were actually ripping off the stickiness. That's why you saw me kind of just glue it back down again. If I didn't, then I was worried that the chipboard would just rip right off, and then all you would be left is just some stickiness on the paper. I did add the butterfly. It's not adding too much color. That's why I picked that particular one, because I really don't want to take away from the roses in the background. They are very beautiful, and they match the roses on the owl as well. And so I didn't want to take away too much. So the butterfly that I picked is the grayscaled one, and I just kind of have it angling away, just creating some different directions. And then the sentiment is bliss, dream, love. A little fun. I just like those little teeny sentiments, and it was nice how it can just go into a little cluster like that. And then to finish off, I got these not puffy, they're foam stickers, and they're very glittery. I don't think they're gold. They kind of look like champagne. But I picked 2 small and a large one. I didn't realize the large ones were actually a bunch of holes in them, so I just stuck that right back in there because I wanted it solid. And that was that card. For card number 5, I love this one. It's really cute. I took the background, the notepad. It kind of looks like a notepad or a ledger background. And I didn't want anything that was too busy or too much of a pattern. And I just kind of like this one because, especially with the sentiment, it can line up very nicely on those lines. It works really well. And I just love this cat with wings. on the moon, sleeping, as a cat would. If the cat is going to go to the moon, it's going to be either playing with a star or sleeping on the moon. I mean, those are two almost guaranteed things. But since the stars aren't dangling on strings, he's sleeping on the moon this time. In this card kit, there's actually the sentiment "Smile often," and it's a little dainty. It's. I had a hard time cutting it. I think I probably could figure it out. I would probably cut it upside down. But anyways, it's a very nice sentiment, and it's something that I like to tell myself, actually, is to smile often. And so I decided that I would skim through the ephemera and see what would make me smile often just by looking at it. And this is the die piece that I picked, and it's the cat. So I really want to make sure that this one was really clean and simple so that we don't take away from that cat. And so even the sentiment "Smile often," I did add another piece that says "Cherish this day." But it's the same color as the moon, so it's not being too busy. And then to finish it off, I'm going to use these stars. These were made from the die from the kit, and I've used them quite a bit. I love these stars. They just have a nice wonky shape to them, and they're just fun. I really like them. The problem is not the die itself, is the gold paper does create an indent almost when you're cutting with it. It's not just this die, but any die you use. It creates like almost like a ditch. And so you just have to put something down, like for acrylic block, for example, to make sure it doesn't move and pop up, and it just dries when it's laying down. But that was that card. Now to card number 6. Is that 6? I think it's 6. It tells me right there on the screen, but I'm always not looking at the screen when it shows up. But I believe it's number 6. I like this background as well. I'm not sure what map of what city it is. I can maybe guess Paris, only because there's ephemera that has the Eiffel Tower on it, but I have no clue. And so I took us the scrap piece of newspaper, which just happened to look like a column. It was perfect how I cut it. And I just matted that with some black cardstock because I just wanted a really strong contrast from that beautiful, what is it, mauve or mulberry background color. And of course the newspaper print does have black on it, so it kind of ties in that way. I'm going to fast forward that. You don't need to see me glue, but just once again, when you're gluing down especially this frame, as you can see, because the die cut on that foil is deep, it creates this ditch. You need quite a bit of glue to fill it, and then hold it down with something just for about like 10 seconds or 15 seconds. That's what I did, just so it doesn't pop up. And this is going to be kind of like a traveling type card. So I have a bird, I have the hot air balloon, there's the little Paris sentiment, which I'm going to kind of block. It just looks like a postcard with the Eiffel Tower on it. And then the sentiment I'm going to use, it says, "You are free to fly." And it is a chipboard sticker, and I'll just prop that up with some foam tape, just because I propped up my bird and I want it to be flush with it. That little black sprig behind the bird, I did prop up that with one little piece of foam square, and that's because I also wanted it to just, I'm really liking this dimension where it's flat on the bottom and pops up of the card. It's really neat. It just creates this gradual incline instead of just being propped up and floating there. And that's that. I don't think I do anything more with this one. It's just a nice simple card with a bunch of ephemera on it. As most of these cards are, right? That's what I love about the kit, is just playing with the ephemera, throwing them on a card and seeing how it goes. And I just love how they're not dominated by a specific holiday or birthday or stuff. You can do birthday cards. However, I do regress that I wish they would do an autumn fall card kit. That is the biggest letdown with Spellbinders. Not that it's a big deal, but it's just if they had an autumn one, oh, their Christmas one last year was amazing. I just really wish they had autumns because I love pumpkins, I love leaves. It's my favorite time of the year, and it's the one thing they don't do. For this kit, or sorry, this card, I am focusing on the pinks. And so I did matte that sentiment, wish for it, hope for it, dream for it, with some light pink. That cardstock did come in the kit. And I just did the matte on the top and the bottom. I didn't want too much. And then that strip of, that was the paper I used, I believe, in card number 1, or 2, sorry. It's just a leftover strip, and it just happened to have just the pink on it, so it worked really well. And then this girl with the butterfly and the roses in her hair is also focused mainly on the pink. I did use that second sentiment, dreams do come true, because it kind of ties in, well, it actually ties in quite well, wish for it, hope for it, dream for it, because dreams do come true. And the color worked perfectly because there is a little bit of that in the flower in her hair. To finish it off, I'm using those stars once again. The kit does give you 3 sizes, and so just cut them once and now you got 3 stars, exactly what you need to fill in a card. If you want more, fill in a card of these stars. They are awesome. I love them. And they also come with a shadow. I didn't use the shadow. I just like the stars so much. I didn't want to create a blob of background, but it does come with a shadow background. And then I just added these little dots, just the small ones for this one. Just tying in the bottom left-hand corner. Is that left? Yeah, bottom left and top right. Oh, that's fun. Okay, card number 8. I'm now going dark. There's not much black in this kit, but I did find it. And the reason I wanted to do it is because, first of all, I love that background script on the black. But I also love these butterflies. In this card kit, there's a collection of 3D butterflies. They're stickers. They're printed on the bottom, and they're lifted with the exact same print. And it's a really fun little piece. You can do this yourself if you had 2 die cuts and you glued one down and then you propped up the second one. It's very similar, but this one's a sticker. And they look really nice on the black. The circle that I was showing you, I did trim it so that it would fit snug into the corner there with just a little bit rounded, still showing. Still having trouble with those chipboards, as you can see right there. They were really bad this time. I've never seen that. I'm not sure if they're just super sticky this time. Maybe they increased the stickiness of the chipboard so you don't need to glue them down anymore. I'm not sure. But they definitely stuck to the acetate quite well. I was not worried about them falling off. But yeah, so I did put the moon up there just to create a night sky. And you can kind of imagine like that circle is the Earth and we're in space. It's just a shadow, and we're kind of in outer space, and there's the stars. It's just using your imagination however you want to interpret a card. It could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be any one way, and that's what I like about these cards. The sentiment I used is some friendships are timeless. Such as space. Space is timeless too. And then let's glue those down, and I'm going to call it. I like it. A lot of fun. That butterfly does have a little bit of pink in it. That's why I chose the pink sentiment as well. Okay, card number 9 is my scrap card. This is where I take the scraps that I like the most, and I stick them together, and I try to make a card out of it. So I used that explosion card, or pattern paper, the beautiful colored stripes, and then the dandelion gold foiled pattern paper. I also am using the second large sentiment in this card kit, and it's let your dreams be your wings. So that is why I also used the butterfly die in this card kit as an element, because of the fact that butterflies have wings. But I didn't use the shadow die on the butterfly either. It's too much for me. It's not a bad piece. It definitely can fit. I just didn't use it. If you saw me karate chopping that card, that's just my way of visually seeing when something is hanging over. My brain can't stop looking at it, so I kind of use my hands to block it so I can see. I was just debating if the strips were too thick. They kind of are, but I didn't want to try to stick that through my trimmer and make them thinner. And I didn't want to waste them either. But yeah, a little bit more chunky than I wanted, but that's okay. I am going to use a big chunk of my gold foil. There was actually a lot of damage on my gold foil this card kit. It looked like it was rested on something, and it made a lot of indents. So it kind of was. It'd be fine with you're making little small die cuts there, But if you wanted to mat anything, it you can see the dents. So I was kind of just using up this gold cardstock this time. Normally, I would never do this. I would definitely take the center out so I can use that, for example, to do other things. I could have done that to cut the butterfly, but I had already cut the butterfly out way before I even noticed that this gold cardstock was damaged in the kit. Usually when I'm working on these kits, I take out all my scraps that match first. That's why I didn't notice that the gold cardstock was damaged until I needed a bigger piece. However, that being said, I never work logically. No matter what I say I do and for what reason, it doesn't mean it's going to be the way it is. I don't work logically. When I'm working and playing, my brain just focuses on one thing and it doesn't think about anything else. So even if this made sense this time, it doesn't actually mean I'll always do that. That's just how I am. Sometimes I try to not explain why I do things because growing up, I've had it many times where people call you out and say, well, that's not what you said last time. No, that's true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my brain doesn't work that way logically. So anyways, that's just a little rambling while I'm just playing around with this card, adding some little bling. I was going to add that little arrow, but it just wasn't looking right. So I'll just stay with the simple 3 stars of that foam stickers. Okay, last card. Card number 10. This one was fun. These are strips of paper that are left over. And I actually see something in this, and this is why I made it. It kind of made me visually see almost like inside someone's house, maybe in a hallway, and there's maybe a door to a bathroom or door to somewhere. But I think it's because the 2 pattern papers are so close in color that one can be almost like a shadow background, like a darker of the rooms. That's what I visually see. And the strips is going to be the carpet. You may not see this, but this is how I see it. And so that's why I will explain how I see it. But other than that, it's just a fun way of using up my scraps. And this was pure luck for me. Like I said, if you visually see it, then it's pure luck. If you don't understand what I'm doing, then it looks like a bunch of strips. Well, it's pure luck that I made strips. But anyways, I had this throwing them down, and they just laid on the card in such a way that it caught my imagination. So I'm imagining that big, huge strip that I just taped down is a wall that's kind of like closest to you. And then we have a strip of darker pink, which is kind of like an angled side of the wall. And then we have another light color. So if you imagine yourself facing a wall, then this would mean basically that this is perpendicular or parallel to the front piece, but it's further back because you have a shadow. Something has made it so there's a shade between. And I'm going to do that again with a bigger piece. And then once again, another strip of the polka dotted seam, the polka dot pattern paper. Then I'm going to fill in the rest with this scrap. And I'm just going to prop it up even more in the background to really create this dimension. This piece is far down the hallway, if you want to imagine that. And I'll just trim that down. And then you kind of have this room, hallway. You're standing somewhere in there. To tie it in, I'm going to take these little ephemera pieces. One says "Wish upon a star." It's this lady, I believe, picking at a star in the sky. It kind of looks like an artistic painting. And then I'm going to use these stamps as art hanging on the wall as well. So that's kind of like up in your face, letting you know that this is a wall. If you don't see it, then it's just ephemera that is stuck to the left-hand side of a card. It doesn't matter. Then I'm going to take this cat and have it holding the star, kind of sitting in the middle of the hallway, just there. I was thinking about maybe making a rug, but I'm going to let your imagination take this one. And if you see it, you see it. If you don't, that's okay. It's just an abstract piece of art. And then the sentiment, beautiful dreamer, that's just floating there. That wouldn't tie into anything, but that's just to tie in with the cat holding the stars. So that's that. A lot of pink cards this time around, but that's not very uncommon for Spellbinders card kits. I did have a lot of fun with this. I definitely did not forget about this card kit because it came pretty much the next day after I realized I forgot about my July one. So I started working on this one immediately whenever I had some free time, just so I can get the card kit or this video out before September comes. And it should be coming fairly soon. Lots of fun elements in this one, especially the cat on the moon and the cat holding the star. Really cute. I do hope you enjoyed this and has created some inspiration for you. I do hope that you feel some type of joy and happiness, and I do hope that you spread that out to every single person that you know and don't know. Just take the time, if you want to, you don't have to, just to lighten up someone's day, just make them smile for just 1 second. It not only makes people happy, but it also lifts up your spirits as well. So I do want to end with a thank you once again, and I do hope to see you in the next video. And until then, have a wonderful, beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later.